Siempre con el pueblo. Gobierno del Perú.
Si hay algo que nos enseñó el
If there
fenómeno
is something that we were taught by the Niño phenomenon, it is to learn from the mistakes of the past, to be able to build, thinking about the future, because 115,000 destroyed households, 100,000 people damnified, and over 11 billion soles in economic loss could not make us lose our hope.
la Autoridad para la Reconstrucción con Cambios, para restituir la infraestructura dañada por el fenómeno del Niño. Y en este camino no estamos solos. El Reino Unido, a través del acuerdo de gobierno a gobierno firmado en el 2020, nos brinda la asistencia técnica y los conocimientos para poder desarrollar megaobras de infraestructura de una manera ágil y efectiva. Ese será el principal legado que deje en nuestro país. En total, hemos firmado 30 contratos para desarrollar obras como el tan esperado Centro de Salud de Limón de Porcuya en Piura y el Colegio Angelitos de Jesús en Ancash, porque por cada hospital inaugurado y colegio mejorado, hay cientos de ciudadanos creyendo en un Perú mejor.
Siempre con el pueblo. Gobierno del Perú.
A todas las personas que se encuentran conectadas.
To everyone that is connected, my name is Ernesto Mosquera, Executive Director for the ARCC. Today, we welcome you to the workshop for Health Center. We will be presenting 3 projects for the design and construction in the districts of Máncora, Sechura, and Talara in the region of Piura as part of the interventions for the health sector that are to be able to be done within the G2G agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. In today's program, we will open the event with the welcoming words from Mr. Ambassador, the Director of External Affairs, and Mr. Robert Lopez, Executive Director of the ARCC. Then we will have Kate Flint, Director of the UKDT program, who will present the impact of the G2G agreement, and Mr. Jack Pfizer will present the procurement process. We will then pass on to Marks Matthias, Director in charge of the health sector, who is going to give us the detail regarding the projects that are going to be presented today. In our final segment, we have a Q&A round for all of our participants. We would like to remind you that this event is being transmitted from the Facebook accounts and YouTube accounts for the ARCC in English and Spanish. Without anything further to say, we give the floor to the Ambassador, Director of the Economic Promotion of External Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In representation of the Ministry of External Affairs, I give you the welcome to this new roadshow organized by the ARCC in the framework of the fruitful relationship that we have with both entities. Thank you to the joint work that we have been developing. We've been able to share dozens of invitations for work in the northern part of our country in benefit of our people. After welcoming Mr. Robert Lopez, Executive Director of the ARCC, and the Joint Director, Mr. Mosquera, I would like to mention that this new virtual roadshow will present the projects of the design and execution of 3 health centers in Máncora, Sechura, and Talara of the region of Piura. These projects are developed in the G2G agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. It is a key tool that has been strengthening the relationship between both countries and that promotes the reconstruction and sustainability standards from the region of the northern part of Peru that are affected by the phenomenon of El Niño and has impact in millions of our people. Having exceeded the 2 years of the effects caused by the appearance of COVID-19, we see that we are going to have soon a recovery. According to the data, the IDP of Peru was able to increase 13% in the year 2021, recovering the pre-pandemic numbers. We also have one of the strongest currencies and also one of the lowest inflation rates in the region. All of this done with the national favorable legislation, important international reserves, and good financial management, a dynamic acting of the country in the international market. We also do need to mention that the projects that are promoted by the ARCC are key elements for the recovery of the economy in our country after the pandemic and for the reduction of the gap in infrastructure that increases in over 63 billion soles in strategic sectors. Concluding this, I would like to recognize the ARCC, but also to our missions in foreign countries, thanks to what we are able to have many experts today with us who we thank for their interest in investing in Peru. Finally, I restate the firm commitment in reference to the missions to be able to see the economic reactivation in our country, for this to be translated in direct benefits for the population, specifically in the context of the pandemic that we today live in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now we will pass on to the Executive Director of the ARCC, Mr. Robert Lopez Lopez. Good morning. This is Robert Lopez Lopez, Executive Director for the ARCC. I would first like to take this opportunity to greet Ambassador Jaime Cacho Souza and to thank him for accompanying us in this a very important activity and representation of the Ministry of External Affairs. I greet each and every one of you to this roadshow where we will present the procurement process and the technical details for the selection of a company or consortium that is in charge of the design and execution of projects for 3 health centers in the district of Máncora, Sechura, and Talara of the region of Piura. In the ARCC, we have so far 29 contracts with over 16 billion in construction in reference to school, health centers, and prevention work for floods, with an approach of sustainability and resilience in front of the natural phenomena of our country. To this date, over 600 companies from 27 countries have participated in our procurement process, and we hope that today we have many more that are able to form part of the transformation that our country requires and demands. I invite you to register your interest in these contracting processes through our website and to add yourself to this innovation and development process that the Peruvian government, on behalf of our president, Mr. Pedro Castillo Terrones, has been promoting nationally and internationally. Thank you to all of you, and I hope that this roadshow is able to meet the objective of contacting the best stakeholders for these important projects. Thank you very much, Director. We will now pass on to the presentations, in which we will have the explanation of business opportunities in the G2G agreement between the UK and Peru. Now, we welcome Kate Flint, who will talk about the impact of the G2G agreement with the United Kingdom.
Thank you for participating in this important event. I have great pleasure to say a few words regarding the support of the United Kingdom to the ARCC. My name is Kate Flint, and I'm the Program Director of the UK DT. My background and experience is delivery of major infrastructure programs. I've worked on high-speed rail projects, nuclear power plants, and the Olympic Games. And then in November 2017, I had the pleasure of coming to Peru to support on the design and construction of the infrastructure for the Lima 2019 Pan American Games. I'm very pleased to be here to build on that legacy and to support the ARCC in the procurement of the best contractors and consultants that will be required to deliver the sustainable protection and defences that will save lives and build on regional economies, all executed in a transparent way. Next slide. The UKDT is pleased to support Peru and the ARCC through the implementation of the most ambitious national construction program ever conducted in Peru. We're here to support Peru's vision to implement sustainable and resilient infrastructure in the regions affected by El Niño in 2017 and beyond. The objective is to improve life opportunities as well as increase capacity for Peru to satisfy its future infrastructure needs and reach the greatest internal potential. To achieve this, great collaboration is required, working with communities, local authorities, consultants, suppliers and contractors. We're helping to develop integrated river basin management plans that include multi-sector and multi-purpose infrastructure, sustainable and resilient solutions, adaptability to climate change and extreme events, and environmental and socio-economic benefits. Next slide. The work is being executed under a government-to-government agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. The UKDT is providing strategic and technical advice to support the ARCC in the delivery of the works. Next slide. The UK team provides support to the ARCC in different ways, as well as the establishment of the PMO, or Program Management Office, and a procurement process based on international best practice. The UKDT provides support and advice to the ARCC and their contractor partners, supporting effective decision-making and making sure that the processes required by the PMO and the new forms of contract are well understood. The transfer of knowledge is at the core of everything that we do. Our number one objective is to build the capacity of Peru to deliver the important infrastructure that is needed in this country. Next slide. This collaboration is based on an integrated core team in collaboration with strategic partners that bring capability and depth of knowledge to the program. It's focused on delivering measurable, sustainable and resilient outcomes to leave a positive legacy for the communities affected and Peru as a whole. Next slide. The opportunity that we are talking to you about today is much broader than purely design and construction projects. It is significant in terms of its scale, breadth of responsibilities and the number of people who will benefit from and be impacted by the project. Because of this, it will be essential that high international standards are met in areas such as environmental management, procurement, design management, the management of health and safety, as well as working with local communities. Last slide. What does this mean for you? With the support of the UKDT, the ARCC is achieving transparency, efficiency and consistency, decisions on time and the control of change, improving professional practice and standards with a focus on social results. It is supporting economic reactivation and a shift towards building and growing a legacy together. Thank you for your time. I hope that you enjoy the other presentations, and at the end of the roadshow, I will be available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señora Flint.
Thank you very much, Ms. Flint. Our next presenter, Mr. Jack Pfizer, who will carry out the presentation regarding the procurement processes.
Hello, my name is Jack Fraser, and I'm the Deputy Procurement Lead for the UK Delivery Team. And I'm going to present to you some detail on the procurement process we're running for this next round of procurement activity, including our overarching principles, contracting strategy, and shortlisting process to enable us to reach a successful conclusion. First of all, I think it's really important to set out the guiding principles that govern our procurement processes and the way in which we interact with the market and the supply chain. They are transparency, openness, and fairness, and they require us to run all procurements that enable all available companies who are interested in participating to have an equal chance of being successful. They're aimed at maximising competition to ensure that the end result provides the client with the most economically advantageous offer from the organisation best suited to undertake the works. It's important to note that the most economically advantageous offer is not necessarily the offer with the lowest price. It's a mixture of technical and commercial scoring, as the lowest price does not always provide the client with the best value offer. Only those companies that can best demonstrate both previous experience and the capacity to undertake the work, combined with their commercial submission, will score well in this process. Adhering to these themes should provide you with the confidence that your offers will be treated fairly and that if you can demonstrate that you are the best suited entity to undertake the works, then you will be scored and marked accordingly. Slide 3, contracting strategy. As you may or may not be aware, we are utilising the NEC form of contract for this package of work. A key aspect of the NEC form of contract is that it offers flexibility of approach and is collaborative in nature. This flexibility and nature of collaboration aligns perfectly with the principles that I set out on the previous slide in terms of transparency, openness, and ability to engage in a collaborative way with our chosen delivery partners. The NEC suite of contracts comes with various options that can be utilised. These range from traditional fixed price arrangement to cost reimbursable style approaches. The NEC option we are going to use for this procurement process is an NEC 3 Engineering and Construction Contract, or ECC, Option F Management Contract with amendments. The Option F contract is essentially a cost reimbursable style contract. Under this option, the contractor is paid a fee plus amounts due to subcontractors for subcontracted works, as well as prices for works that the contractor carries out themselves. A key amendment that will be used on this contract, and has previously been used on other ARCC contracts, will require the contractor to provide a fixed price for certain elements of work, including the design, at time of tender. The contractor will be paid this fixed price upon completion of the associated activities during the execution of the contract. This fixed price, along with the submitted fee percentage, will be evaluated during the tender process. It's important for you to note that following feedback from other procurement processes, we have updated certain contractual requirements. So please ensure you're involved in this process so you can review what changes have been made. Slide 4, packaging. If you've attended other roadshows that we have run, you may be aware that sometimes multiple packages are launched at once and are subsequently split into a number of packages during the ITT stage, in accordance with the procurement processes and the rules, as well as the packaging strategies. For these works, only one single package is being procured, meaning that all scope covered under this procurement will be subject to one MU, one pre-qualification process, one ITT, and ultimately one contract that will be awarded to the successful tenderer. Slide 5, process. The procurement process we intend to run will be undertaken in 3 main stages. They are the mandatory undertaking, or MU, a pre-qualification stage, which includes a pre-qualification questionnaire, or PQQ, and an invitation to tender stage, or ITT. This graphic illustrates how we move along from a long list of interested suppliers to one supplier who's won the competition and has been awarded the contract. So firstly, following this presentation today, in addition to those companies that have already registered with us following previous roadshows, if you wish to be considered for this opportunity, you must first submit your details on the ARCC website. You will also be asked to provide some simple details in order to confirm that your organisation has capacity and ability to undertake the works that you are expressing an interest in. This avoids including any companies in our process that are not suitable to be involved. The number of companies who can register an interest at this stage is unlimited. We also need to ensure that only those companies who receive the PQQ have the necessary turnover requirements and are able to sign the mandatory undertaking declaration, which includes, amongst others, anti-bribery, collusion, conflict of interest, and confidentiality declarations. We will then review the MU submissions to ensure they have been adequately completed and that all requirements have been satisfied. The number of companies eligible to pass through to the PQQ stage remains unlimited. One important consideration, and one we receive a lot of questions on, is the formation of consortiums, and at what stage these have to be notified to us. We do not require you at time of MU submission to set out your proposed consortium. This information is required with your PQQ response, which I will come on to shortly. The only rule we apply here is that only those companies that submitted an MU response will become eligible at PQQ stage to be included in a consortium. So it is vital that all of those companies whether they intend to participate in a consortium or not, who wish to be included in the PQQ stage, submit an MU response. The pre-qualification questionnaire, or PQQ, will then be released to all of those companies that have passed the MU stage. The intention of the PQQ is to reduce the unlimited long list at time of MU down to a short list of companies who will be invited to tender. Following the submission of your PQQ and our internal evaluation process, you will then be notified whether your submission has gained the necessary score to have made it onto the shortlist. The shortlist is made up of the top scoring number of applicants who submitted a PQQ. So, for example, if we intend to have a shortlist of 7, then the 7 top scoring applicants will be invited to tender. Everyone will receive a notification whether you have made the shortlist or not. The third stage is then the invitation to tender stage, or ITT. Those companies who have made the shortlist will be issued with an invitation to submit a tender, which will consist of the submission of various documents, a technical response, and a commercial response. The tenderer who attains the highest score will be awarded the contract. This process therefore allows us to proceed from an unlimited long list to a short list to one eventual winner. Slide 10, summary program. So what does all that look like in terms of the procurement program we're working to? Well, the MU is planned to be launched on Monday next week. You'll have 3 weeks to complete and return your MU documentation. Then following the MU stage, provided you have successfully passed, you'll then have 3 weeks to complete and return your PQQ submission. And then shortlisted tenderers will have 6 weeks to complete and return their ITT submissions. There's a lot more information available to you that sets out the requirements from each stage of the process. Furthermore, as I said at the start, we are operating in an open and collaborative process. And once the MUs get issued, we will be holding applicant briefings whereby we will be setting out in detail your MU, PQQ and ITT submission requirements and some key tips for completing your submission. We also intend to hold similar sessions during the PQQ and ITT processes if you progress to that stage. We also have a messaging facility available through our procurement portal called Award, which allows you, subject to being involved at each stage, to raise questions that come directly to us on any aspect of the process we are running, or with respect to the content of any of the written documentation we've issued to you at MU, PQQ or ITT stage. At the ITT stage, we also hold one-to-one confidential interactive sessions with each of the shortlisted tenderers, during which if you are shortlisted for this stage, you'll be able to speak to us on a one-to-one basis again on any aspect of the process that we're running. You'll also be able to raise scope and contractual queries if you have any. And finally, on the schedule, it's important to note that if you are successful in the process, you'll have 2 weeks from the point of being informed that you have been successfully awarded to execute the contract. You'll therefore need to ensure that you will have all paperwork and contract signatories aligned in order to meet this deadline. Slide 11, key principles. So finally, and as I mentioned, if you're interested in this opportunity, please register your interest in the first instance on the ARCC website. You'll then be issued with the MU documentation, at which point you'll be able to raise any questions you may have through the award portal. We'll obviously review all questions as they come in and aim to respond to you as quickly as possible. We also want to encourage companies, if you think you do not have sufficient experience on your own, to form consortia with other companies to deliver our projects. Once the MU is launched, we will open a matchmaking portal on the ARCC website with the purpose of encouraging companies to come together where they can complement each other's skill set with a view of joining forces and forming a consortium. These details will be included in the MU documentation. If you have any issues with the award, we will upload a user guide in both Spanish and English, so please read through those in the first instance. And if your problem persists, then either raise a clarification through the award platform, or if you're having trouble logging into award, please contact the details set out on the login page. I hope this has been helpful and will assist you in submitting high-quality proposals to us. And thank you very much for your attention. And please remember, we're here to help at each stage of the process. Good luck with your submissions.
Muchas gracias, señor Pfizer. A continuación,
Thank you very much, Mr. Fraser. Now we have Mr. Martinez, the ARCC, who would present the information in reference to his part. Good morning, participants of this roadshow. My name is Mr. Max Matias, and I am the Director of the Intervention Direction of the Health Sector. I will begin with a presentation for all of you, in which I will be presenting the main characteristics, technical characteristics of the three health projects that are located in the cities of Sechura, Talara, and Máncora, based on the promotion of the public bidding process in the G2G agreement with the United Kingdom. Hopefully, this information will be important for all of you, and this will see the interest of participating in important projects for the region of Piura and the country. Next one. Why did we choose this modality? Well, as it can be seen in this slide, we're explaining the importance of the execution with this G2G modality. It is also established that in more than one international cooperation with the United Kingdom, the ARCC is able to execute infrastructure projects for health that have been developed in a successful manner. Product as of which we made the decision of including within this modality these new interventions. Next one. What type of contracts will be used for the execution of the projects in the G2G framework? Well, the ARCC has requested the UK to use a NEC contract, which was developed by the Institution of Civil Engineers of the United Kingdom. This type of contract is clear, simple, flexible, and it keeps good international practices. Now, from our experience, the collaborative spirit of the NEC contract allows projects to be able to develop in an optimized manner in a spirit of trust and mutual collaboration. Next one, please. How are we able to distribute the projects that are being executed in the G2G framework? We can see here that right now we are executing 15 projects, health projects in 5 regions of the country that were impacted by the Niño phenomenon. And it also establishes here that the intervention in the health center also has experience in the development of this modality due to the projects that are being developed. With this, you must be sure that we have a group of professionals that are highly trained in reference to the knowledge transfer that was done in the framework of the G2G agreement. Next one. What are the projects that are going to be executed in the G2G framework? We're able to see 3 health projects that are being promoted at this time, which are the reconstruction of the health center of Talara, making this category 1 in reference to health reconstruction, Sechura being the category 1-4, and reconstruction of the health center of Máncora, make it 1-3 category. We will now give more information in reference to the interventions that are able to be considered to be aware of the main characteristics of these. Next one. Interventions of reconstruction of the health center of Talara 1-4. In reference for the case of the health center Talara 1-4, the project does consider the design, the construction, and the equipment of a new health center in a category 1-4. This would be in reference to different to what is existent, which location can be presented in the slide. With this, we will be sure that the parts here are able to be established in an uninterrupted manner. And here it is important to establish that the project does not include the construction of a temporary or contingency health center. To this date, we have one that is approved and that includes the following parts in reference to what is said in health centers. Offices, general medicines, attention dentists, prenatal, planification, psychoprophylaxis, TBC, ETS, AIDS, STDs, pediatricians, obstetrician centers, surgery center, central sterilization, laboratory, pharmacy, external consultation, chemotherapy, blood bank, nutrition, and dietitians. In addition to this, the PMF includes the portfolio of units of service providers as administration, laundry, among other points. Next one, please. In this slide, we are able to see the location of the land where we are able to build a new health center of Talara 14. This is in Avenida Carretera Sullana, Talara, Lot 3B, District of Pariñas. As you can see, this is 22 minutes away from the existing health center, and it is in a location of quick access where there could not be any issues for the execution. In this image, we're able to see more data regarding the land where this will be developed. Here we can see that this has an area of 17,291 square meters approximately, and it is completely sanitized. Here we are able to see the intervention of reconstruction for the health center of Sechura 14. Just as the other case, the intervention of the region of the health center Sechura 14 considers the design, the construction, and the equipment of a new health center of category 14 in a different land. The intervention does not include this area for temporary management, considering that as the previous project, the health existing sectors will maintain the functioning of this. The PMF that has been approved includes the following portfolio of UPSS, the offices, triage, dentist, obstetrician, prenatal, planification, prophylaxis, TBC, STDs, AIDS, emergencies, pediatrician hospitalization, obstetrician center, surgical center, laboratory, pharmacy, external consultation, bank blood, nutrition. In addition to this, it includes the UPS. Next one. In this slide, we are able to see the location of where we will have the new health center of Sechura 14. This is in Vicente Chunga, sector of Sechura, Lot 2, District of Sechura. As you're able to see here, we have 3 minutes away from the existing health center, and it is in the location of easy access where the project is not able to have any kind of issues. After this, in this image, we can actually see more data regarding the land where we will be developing the project. Here we can see that it has an area of 11,302 square meters approximately, and it's completely organized. Here we're able to see the reconstruction of the health center Máncora 13. This project has the following characteristics, which include design, construction, and medical equipment. Here we will be doing this in reference to the health center of the system, implying the construction of a temporary contingency center. And the approved part includes the following EPS's offices, general medicine, triage, dentist, obstetrician, prenatal assistance, planification, psychoprophylaxis, TBC, AIDS, STDs, laboratory, external consultation. Additionally to this, this includes the information in reference to EPS. Okay, next one. In this slide, we are able to show the part where we are able to see the reconstruction of this and the land where we would have this built for the contingency center. Here, we're able to get more data in reference to what is stated. If we see that the area of the health center that exists is of 2,547.55 square meters approximately. Next one. In this point, it is very important that we are able to establish Some aspects that on our end require special attention. First, the attention of these includes the design, the construction, the equipment of health centers, as it has already been mentioned previously. What also includes this part and also the training in reference to these areas. Next, the ARCC has managed through the Pura, the PMFs of the 3 health centers, which to this date are approved and will be part of the information of the work. And as in a difference in reference to most of the projects that are being executed here in the health center, we will not have any referential information included in reference to this, for which we would need to be able to see this in reference to the design. Hopefully, throughout the execution of these 3 new projects, we are able to restore the well-being and improvement of the quality life of the citizens affected by the Niño phenomenon by providing them infrastructure and services of quality and health. We hope to be able to have the participation of all of you. Thank you very much. Throughout this event with the ARCC, it is important to mention what we have established. The first question, can any company participate in a procurement process? That's the first question.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the question. The answer is yes, and any company can participate. Translator, I think you're in the wrong channel.
Dentro de lo que se refiere a este proceso.
The translator, I think you're in the wrong channel. I'm hearing Spanish there. Thank you. So the answer is yes, any company can participate, subject to the requirements of the mandatory undertaking, which we set out at time of launch of that documentation. So please register your interest in the ARCC website, and you'll be sent the mandatory undertaking documentation, and subject to you passing those requirements, you will then be issued with a pre-qualification document, and obviously subject to your performance there, you may proceed on to the next stage or not. But yes, and any company can participate, but obviously subject to the requirements of the procurement, which, as I said, will be set out in the first instance within the mandatory undertaking documentation.
Gracias, señor Kena. Para el ingeniero Matías, la construcción.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenna. For engineer Matías, the execution of the health center of Máncora will imply that there will be suspension of the activities or health care provided to the population? No, the project provides the implementation of a temporary health center, which will have the objective of reassuring the continuity of the providing of health assistance, this throughout the construction of the health center of category 1-3. Thank you very much, Marks. Mr. Kenna, once again, all contractors should have knowledge in reference to NEC contracts?
So thank you. That's a good question, and one we receive quite often. So it's not mandatory that you have experience with the NEC form of contract. We do ask questions around your history of involvement with NEC at the PQQ stage. And we ask questions at the invitation to tender stage regarding how you would manage these projects. So it would help if your company has previous experience of using NEC, because you will be able to fully respond to our questions at PQQ stage and ITT stage, and obviously you will potentially get more marks for having previous experience, but it's not mandatory. So it's not an absolute requirement that you have to have had previous experience with NEC. If you haven't, that doesn't stop you from participating, but we will be asking questions at PQQ stage and ITT stage. And if you have previous experience, that will help you answer those questions at those stages.
Muchas gracias, señor Kena.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kena. Marks, what does the commissioning of the health center imply? Thank you, Ernesto. Well, the commissioning implies the use of all of these systems from a sectional completion perspective until the order, and this implies all of the individual systems and all of the interfaces between systems in a way that the project is able to work according to what is set by the design. The success of the management is shown throughout this performance testing. Thank you very much, Marks. Mr. Kena, once again, is it necessary to register again to be able to participate in this process, or it is enough to already have an account in the award portal?
So thank you. That's a good question. So if you have already previously registered your interest in health centres and hospitals, then you do not need to re-register, because we already have your details, and you will receive the award details as soon as the mandatory undertaking is launched. If you've already previously registered your interest in infrastructure works or education, which obviously is not health, then you will need to re-register with expressing your interest in these health opportunities. But if you have already registered your interest in health opportunities in health centres or hospitals, then you do not need to re-register, and we have your details. And as I said, you will be sent the award details as soon as the mandatory undertaking is launched.
Muchas gracias, señor Kena. Marks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kena. Marks, can there be interest presented only for design, or do we need to present interest to the whole package, which includes execution and equipment? Well, in this opportunity, it is an integrated manner. This includes design, equipment, construction. It would need to be all together, yes. Thank you, Marks. Mr. Kena, are the 3 health centers being included in just one package?
Yes, correct. So as was pointed out in the presentation earlier, sometimes we split these opportunities with separate invitations to tender and separate contracts, but in this case, it's going to be one procurement process. So one mandatory undertaking, one pre-qualification stage, one invitation to tender, and eventually one contract. So we will be entering into a contract with one contractor for the design, construction, and delivery of all 3 health centres in one contract.
Gracias, señor Kena.
Thank you, Mr. Kena. Marks, what is a functional medical program? It is a technical tool that mentions the physical and functional dimensions of sanitary service provided by the health units. In other words, this allows you to be able to determine the services that a health center will have based on the offer and demands of the population. Thank you, Marks. Mr. Kena, what is the amount for the package of the 3 health centers?
So we will be publishing the estimated budgets for the package of works that we're procuring here with the mandatory undertaking. So you will receive that information when the mandatory undertaking goes live. We will also be publishing within the mandatory undertaking the required turnover thresholds, your sales volume thresholds that you need to meet as a consortium or as an individual company in order to proceed to the next stage of the process. So the budget information and the sales volume thresholds will all be set out in the mandatory undertaking documentation.
Muchas gracias, señor Kena.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenna. Last question for Marks. Should the contractor coordinate with the Ministry of Health and DIRESA, the architectonic medical program, as an interested party of the health center? Thank you. Yes, and at different times, actually, at the beginning of the project, it should elaborate a PMA and an architecture design, flows and other that are shown by standards, which should be presented to DIRESA for their approval. Thank you very much to all of the people that connected to the transmission. Thank you very much to those that participated, and thank you very much for all supporting this event. We remind you that you can follow us in the social networks of the ARCC, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Through these platforms, we are able to share the progress in reference to these lines, as well as the invitations to processes and events such as what we have today. Thank you very much for being here with us, and we will see you next time.
Siempre con el pueblo. Gobierno del Perú.